8:38, Big 550 KTRS. Johnny Londoff, the brain is frozen over at Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. Clearly, he's been out in the ice too much. Mimi needs to drag him back in. I just got a text from Johnny Londoff. Listen to this. The 2014 snowstorm sale at Johnny Londoff Chevrolet, $1,000 off all internet prices all day today. They will deliver the new car, new truck, or pre-owned vehicle to customers' homes or office. Are you kidding me? $1,000 off internet prices at Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. Good morning, David Stokes.
Good morning, McGraw.
Got a text message from you. You weren't thinking about coming in, but you braved the elements.
I braved the elements. I thought it'd be up to fun to get up early, bust the car out of the driveway.
Yes.
Fight the havoc to get out here.
How was the traffic? Traffic wasn't too bad, or what?
Traffic wasn't bad at all. Most people are smartly staying off the road, so morons like me can get into the studio.
Got a text message or an email from you over the weekend. Many times we discuss topics of the day that are interesting and controversial, and we do it in a very respectful way. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree. There was a story a week or so ago that the new mayor of New York, Dave de Blasio, is that his name? De Blasio?
Isn't it Bill de Blasio?
Bill. Sorry, Dave was his younger brother. Sorry. Bill de Blasio wants to banish horse-drawn carriages from New York City, and you're outraged by this.
I am. There's very little that I hate more than the petty little tyrannies of government.
Yes.
And the idea that it's the government's job to ban something like that. It's not only whether they should or shouldn't, but I object to them having the power to do so in the first place. And so the question then comes when St. Louis has a vibrant horse-drawn carriage scene, maybe not quite like you see in Central Park.
Right.
But would something like this happen here? And I certainly, it's infuriating when it happens in New York. And I've been to New York and ridden those carriages and enjoy them very much. And I enjoy the St. Louis ones too. So I certainly hope we don't see anything like that here.
What? Your family is somehow connected to the horse-drawn carriage world?
It was a long time ago. My father was one of the co-founders of one of the first carriage companies here in St. Louis. So, and he split from the company many years ago and hasn't been there in a long time. But I used to be a stable boy in one of the downtown carriages
so
just south of downtown.
A little bit of a conflict of interest here, in other words.
No, I don't think so. I think my dad's been out of that business for about 20 years now.
Back up a second. You used to be a stable boy?
I used to be a stable boy.
You used to shovel the R&R sanitation stuff?
The horse R&R sanitation stuff, yes.
This is like an episode of Mame. Remember that movie Mame with Lucille Ball and the little redheaded kid? No, you don't remember that.
I do not remember that.
Anti-Mame. All right, so this is more interesting. So your dad was a co-founder. Is the company still around?
Oh, yeah, it's one of the main ones.
Really?
Yeah, St. Louis Carriage Company.
And I see them downtown, right? They horse-drawn carriages around downtown. Why does Bill de Blasio want to ban this in New York?
Well, he says it's inhumane. Which is interesting because it was basically humankind's primary mode of transportation until about 80 years ago. So I guess we were pretty inhumane around the entire world, or at least the world with horses.
Right. I don't know. Has people been clamoring to get rid of the horse-drawn carriages?
I don't think so, and luckily I don't think there's any movement in St. Louis towards it or in Missouri. It's not inhumane at all. I mean, these horses are good at pulling things.
Right, that's what they do.
That's what they do, especially the draft horses that you see in St. Louis. I mean, for them to pull a carriage for a couple hours is really nothing. And I don't think they use draft horses as much in New York City, but they use big horses that really don't have any trouble pulling these things for several hours.
While I agree with you on this issue, and I don't think anybody was complaining or upset, New York has its own traffic issues, and I would think a horse-drawn carriage might be a little bit of a traffic issue, but they're not bringing that up as one of the reasons why. Where I do have a problem and where I think government should step in, and I don't know what the rule is. You know, there's nothing's ever black and white anymore. But downtown St. Louis, I don't mind a horse-drawn carriage driving people from Busch Stadium to the Arch to the old courthouse down somewhere else. Where I do have a problem are the strip club billboard cars, which whole goal is to drive in the middle of traffic. I find that thoroughly offensive.
Well, you've always hated those. And I think a lot of people, I think everybody hates them.
Right.
I don't know if I agree they should be banned per se, but we can all agree they're pretty awful.
They're awful. Then I haven't seen one, but I have heard that there are actually buses with live dancers dancing in this sort of van with see-through plexiglass to show you what you can see when you go to the strip clubs. Take a 10-year-old to a ball game, and you're like, and you have to cover the guy's eyes as you're going to the ball game.
Yeah, and the ones that are pulled by the horse-drawn carriages.
Well, no, that's
are the most complicated of all.
But it seems to me like if a mayor can ban horse-drawn carriages, a mayor in St. Louis certainly should be able to step on the strip club mobile mobiles.
Well, I don't think they should be able to ban either.
I understand that. But I mean, come on. I mean, it's a zoning law, and we don't have strip clubs in downtown St. Louis because zoning laws are being what they are, community standards. We don't have strip clubs in downtown St. Louis. Yet we have to be subjected to this ridiculous mobile billboard. There's got to be a way to ban it.
Well, there probably is a way to do so. I don't know if there is a way to ban it without violating the free speech rights of those business owners.
Let's go back to New York.
And I realize that corporate speech is not always free speech in the same way.
Right. But Giuliani got rid of all those sex shops in New York City, right? You were in favor of that, weren't you?
Yeah, I guess so. I think it was about 15 when it happened.
Well,
so.
that's but I mean, they had a right to, open up a Peep Show in Times Square, but Giuliani, broke their back, and now look at Times Square. It's a happening, thriving place.
Well, I think and lawyers would explain it better than I, but there's there's a difference between obscenity and free speech. There's no free speech guaranteed right to obscenity. So if you're operating a Peep Show or a strip joint, I mean, you can't just put those anywhere at any time. You don't have a right to do that at any point. So there is some legitimate government control of those types of businesses, which I think would all basically
agree with. Right, because you don't want a strip club opening up next to you in your neighborhood. I mean,
most people don't.
Most people don't, right? But it's, but I mean, I agree with you on the horse-drawn carriage, but it's a fine line between what's offensive, what isn't offensive, and it's sort of that's what kind of makes the world go around, I guess.
It is, and I just think we've gone way too far in allowing government to make that choice. Where I think something where the vast majority of people would agree that, like obscenity, that government has a role to regulate, and now in New York. A mayor can just come in and say that he thinks horse-drawn carriages are inhumane, so he's going to try and have them banned. And there was an interesting Post-Dispatch article on it over the weekend. And again, thankfully, nobody's trying to do that in St. Louis. But still, reading the article and reading the government, the city officials who discussed it, I mean, I still find an over-enthusiasm for regulating the industry in the first place there.
Right.
They're all saying, well, there's no effort to ban it, which is great. But they're still thinking, but we obviously have a role in regulating the amount of hours and regulating this and regulating that. And I would object and say, no, you really don't have a role in regulating this type of business. And we've just gone way too far in government regulating every type of business and every aspect of our lives. And that's the part that I hope I never get tired of screaming about as much as I lose the battle 95% of the time.
Next week, we're going to talk about there are some people in this state that actually want to ban me from smoking marijuana on a Saturday night in my hometown, in my own house. It's outrageous.
Well, it is banned.
It is banned.
I think there's
there are people
a growing movement trying to change that ban.
Yes.
And I'll be in Colorado in 2 weeks on a ski vacation, so I will enthusiastically report back to you.
How about this? In Colorado, one of the regulations is that it's a cash-only business. You're not allowed to buy your legal marijuana through a debit card or a credit card because of federal regulations. So these companies are taking in wads of cash. They said $1 million. They did $1 million the first day in just legal marijuana. So all these companies now have they have to take these giant bags to the bank every day and put them in the bank because they will not allow the debit cards to be used.
Yeah, it's sort of an old-fashioned trade going on there.
That doesn't make any sense. All right, David Stokes, when can we read you? When can we see you?
Well, you can see a lot at showmeinstitute.org on these types of local government regulations that affect every one of us every day of our lives. And And again, showmeinstitute.org and showmedaily.org is the daily blog. And I try and cover things like this at Twitter at David C. Stokes.
Traffic, weather, and we'll talk Mike Kelly, Cotton Bowl victory with Mizzou. We'll do that next on